Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids podcast. Before we get started, please be sure to check out homeschoolyourkidsexpo.com and check out our touring schedule because we are still on the move. So check it out. We are coming to a city near you. And before, we go any further, let me give a big shout out to our sponsors or two of our major sponsors who are ensured to make sure you have the community and support that you need. Classical Conversations is a national curriculum provider as well as a great support community. And we have Base Camped, which is a brand new app that just launched in February. It is free to all, and it is great to connect with others and to, build the community that we definitely desire in this homeschool world. So check them out. And today we have with us Jess. Jess, introduce yourself.
So I'm Jess Boon, Director of Operations for STEM 101, Mama too. So I'm a busy lady, and most homeschool parents can relate to that. You get a lot of moving parts all the time. Pretty passionate about education, or I wouldn't be here in the first place.
Indeed, indeed. So how do we get here? You have two. What's the ages of your two first?
8 and 5, so little
Five.
yet.
Yes, and you're homeschooling.
I am not, but we are,
Okay.
well, I should say, we're
You
starting that
are, but
exploratory process of,
yes.
trying to see what's a good fit. Right now, they go to elementary school by where I live, but we do a lot of, I'm an activities kind of lady, right? I'm like an energizer bunny. I got a lot of energy and a lot of passion for just being on the go and doing a lot of activities with the kids. And so I I mean, I explore a lot of homeschool resources just because in the building they learn so much, but I really like learning with them, and doing things hands on and doing a lot of things outside. We live out in the country, so we're outside quite a bit.
Nice. And yes, and you're into STEM, so I already know that y'all are over there engineering and everything else. So by all means, let's talk about the educational journey. How did we get on this path?
So STEM 101 is an educational nonprofit. So we do quite a bit. The goal is to, make STEM education engaging and accessible to everybody. So when we got started, the mission was really to partner with underserved communities. There's a lot of inner city schools that we helped raise funds for and get them, going with hands-on STEM education because kids are sitting at a desk all day long, and that's not really what they're meant to be doing. It's like,
Or
some of it, yeah, for sure. You got to sit and do the work every once in a while, but lessons really click when you can make those things applicable. They're being challenged. They've got to move, related to the real world. A lot of kids ask all the time, why do I need to know this? And so we try and tie, that hands-on learning to a STEM careers, because ultimately one day you got to do something. You got to put a roof over your head.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. I'm really blessed because I feel like I have a great and wonderful job. I feel like
Indeed.
I make a difference. And but that STEM educational piece is, you see a lot of kids that some things just don't click until they can do something with it. So we do hands-on kits and projects, and we do hands-on curriculum too. And we partner that with online, and then we have free academic and career planning resources, and we call that the Connections Program. So anybody can use that anytime, and that thing is pretty awesome because what we've done is we've partnered with um, a bunch of different STEM industries, and we interview their employees from entry level positions to the top brass, and they talk about things of how I got here. What's my journey look like? What do I like about my job? I wish I would have taken another math class, or, I started with this focus, and eventually that has led me to here, and I never thought I would be here doing this. So that connections program has some introductory lessons too, because you can sit there and explore different topics, and they're like, oh, this relates to this career, and this person does this, and here's more about that and what they've done and what it takes to get there. And I think that by exposing kids to all the opportunities that are out there, they're better prepared to make conscious choices that'll lead them to where they want to go, right? So that connections program is, like I said, we keep that free for everybody because we do think that that's really important. And the focus is, where is your journey going to take you? You're going to learn so much in your life, whether you're at school or you're at home, or you're doing different, educational methods. But ultimately, where do you want to end up? Where do you want to see yourself? We try and give a good, diverse representation of individuals. There's not a lot of girls in STEM, and it's growing, definitely, for sure. But we're definitely underrepresented, and so we make sure that we find some lovely ladies that are passionate and doing incredible things in their careers, just to show and highlight, hey, girls, you can do this. And it can be really rewarding because the future is STEM, right? To push us forward. And there's a lot of things that you don't even realize are, necessarily STEM related right away until you get knee deep in it. So the connections program is pretty powerful. We've always done, middle school and high school STEM related curriculum, intro to engineering, things like that. But the hands-on kits started during COVID. So we were doing crazy, awesome things through the curriculum and our connections program. And then we had teachers and parents calling us up and said, how do I get this at the kitchen table? How can I help my kids? And so we started packing all the stuff. And that kind of exploded because once you start doing hands-on stuff with your kids, you can just see the light bulb moments happen, right? So that's kind of where we've gotten to now. We partner with a lot of schools to do a variety of different things besides kits and curriculum, like family resource workshops. So we have long-term relationships with a lot of schools in the Bronx, and that has led to, this is great, it's in the classroom, or this is great, I send this, with my kids when they're on breaks from school, so that it keeps them doing things and exploring. And they asked if, can we do like a family resource workshop, because families need sometimes some support and some guidance, and let's raise them up, right? Because the foundation is the family. Ultimately what's good is for the family is good for the kid. So giving these workshops, we have a medical one going on right now, and we teach basic medical skills and how to use a pulse oximeter to get some basic medical understanding of technology and training. And if that sparks their interest, there's career planning resources for that. Like, if you're doing this, but all of a sudden you're enjoying this and you can see how approachable this is, it's pretty impactful. And we try and get members of the community involved to help lead those workshops. So New York City PD and fire, there's people from Lincoln Hospital that have helped teach these workshops, so it's really great community-based learning, so we're trying to go beyond the classroom. And there's just, we're always, our team is a bunch of ideas people. Our CEO is really passionate about education, whatever form that takes, and giving opportunities to people that, don't naturally always present themselves. So how can we create that opportunity so that, every kid anywhere can see the impact and make a difference for them?
Indeed. Okay, so let's back up some, because I was asking
I
how
know that's a
you,
lot.
I know that was a lot. That was a whole lot. But as you said, there's not a lot of females or women in STEM. How did you get your way to STEM? How did you find this passion? How did you say, you know what, this is where I want to go with education in general? And boom, here I am. How did we get on this journey?
You know, you that it's a fun journey because I feel like life takes you on all different types of paths, right? Before STEM, I was an owner and operator of restaurants. Okay. So I worked
Okay.
with a lot of high school kids and a lot of college age kids and some adults too. Um, and I'm very, like I said, I have a lot of energy and I have a lot of different interests. I'm buzzing around and I feel that helped me feel capable to do a lot of things, right? Because you're in a fast paced environment. There's a lot of different things that are happening. There's math involved. There's science involved in that. But I had a big passion for training and building my team up, right? So if they were interested in something, I was interested in helping guide them down a path that would help, teach them and grow them in their position. And a lot of times they would leave me eventually, right? Because I got high school and college kids. They got big dreams and big plans, and I'm a stepping stone for that. And I really loved that, and loved seeing their successes and how they would challenge themselves and push themselves. And I could help be a piece for that, right? Then COVID hit. I was like, and I had just had my second, and I stayed home for a while. I could do some of the administrative stuff from home, which was great. I We didn't need as many people in the building because things were shut down. And then after a while, actually, my husband was like, this has been a great run. 15 years in this industry.
Oh
I
wow.
want to do something different. And
Wow.
I said, all right, let's do it. And he found something different, and I stayed home and I was doing all kinds of crazy activities with my kids. I'd look for different resources all the time, lots of hands-on projects, how we can apply that to real life. And I loved that. I loved that time. So then after a while, my son was kindergarten, 4K kindergarten age, and I was like, I want to do just a side project to get me out of the house. I want to do, if I can get like a part-time job, that would be fantastic. And I found STEM, and they were looking for somebody to do social media. And I did social media for the restaurant, so I had familiarity and I could do that. I'm by no means like a content creator, not on your level, but I could do
Who
enough
me?
to.
Who not me level? Like, no, girl, I'm still trying to
I
like,
mean,
what
you
in the
got a
world?
podcast, you're killing it. So
Yeah, this is not, this is different. And this is with assistance from others. Like this, like
yeah.
we're doing this together. Like, oh my gosh, no. Girl, I put my tip all hats to content creators. I don't know how in the world they put, I don't know. It's yeah, no, I'm still trying to get there. Yeah, not really, but really, I don't know. But go ahead.
We're learning all the time, right? We're
Right?
learning and
Yes.
growing all the time.
It's so much.
Yeah.
It's so much.
So I applied for STEM to do social media for them. And the more I was involved with the social media, I grew to take on additional roles. So I helped um, coordinate our like teacher care program that we have for we have a very large STEM initiative funded by Ashley Furniture and the Ronick and Joyce Wanick Foundation. And they sponsor kits and hands-on resources in 37 schools in 4 states. Big initiative, right? And they needed help just coordinating these efforts, making sure that the teachers had support if they had questions, if they needed training. And so I was a coordinator for the Wisconsin, Minnesota schools. My my role was still remote, so I had my youngest at home, and I was still balancing those things. And the once I started helping teachers and giving them support, and I went to some of the teacher trainings that we hosted, and I was doing hands-on things with these kids, and I was like, I have an idea for another kit. um, and I wanted to just learn more about just STEM education in general. And I'm had business background, so operations is definitely within my wheelhouse. And all of a sudden, I'm now this lady that wears a lot of hats and for a STEM educational nonprofit. So it's amazing where life takes you if you're willing to push yourself and grow. You don't have to have all the know-how. You have to be willing to learn.
Right.
Um, and that's kind of how I got here. And I feel really um strongly about making sure that I am that these resources are easy for parents to use, right? And moms, okay? Because I know we do a lot of the nurturing and caregiving. Not all of it, but we do a big chunk. I want to make sure that we're giving teacher support. um, the school system isn't, it has its drawbacks. It's not perfect. And, that's just support. What's good for the teacher is good for the kid, whether that's a parent or a teacher in a public school or private school setting. And to make things easiest for them to help support their kids. We don't want to be another thing they have to do. I want them to be like, okay, I see
Be
this.
excited.
Yeah, I want to see this crazy awesome project, and I want my student, my kid to love it and enjoy it, and to streamline that process of, walking them through that and showing them, yeah, you don't have to know a whole lot of about STEM right now, but you can grow alongside your students and you can tie this to so many different things. There's no one size fits all, right? Education is, you know, there's so many different ways to educate, and every child is different. So
Yes, yes. So let's talk STEM one-on-one. But let's
yeah.
talk let's talk the roots of like what is STEM? Like let's go there. What is
Oh,
STEM for those who have never like, oh, what
yeah, I
STEM?
feel like
Like,
STEM
are
has
we
been
talking
like,
about a plant? What are we talking about? Like, what is a
yeah,
STEM? Yeah,
STEM is kind of like the buzzword over the last, I don't know, decade or so, but
right.
it's
Yeah,
really, science, technology, engineering, and math.
yeah.
So when I was in school, math was not very exciting. And that I think that was one thing that that I used to struggle with. And I didn't start clicking for me until I had applicable ways to use it, like using a tape measure is so fundamental. That's math, okay? Cooking and using uh, measuring cups and measuring spoons and things like that. That's math. There's in reading blood pressure monitor, pulse oximeter, there's math involved in that. There's math involved in everything. And it's hard to see when you're sitting and, staring at a chalkboard. Well, in my day, it was a
And
chalkboard.
struggling. And
And
struggling.
yeah, the struggle was real. So,
Oh, the struggle was so real.
yeah.
It wasn't until I did an interview with Kathleen from Right Start Math, where I'm like, because I used to denounce all math myself, like because I specialize in reading and writing.
Right,
So math has never been my. I did not care for it. However, she
right.
made me understand that there are, just like you just pointed out, there's many components to math. So whereas geometry was the one that really did me in and made me say, you know what? I don't want to add nothing. Like I don't want to do nothing. But so don't ask me any. My students used to ask me like to help them with their math work, and I used to tell them don't like take that away. Like where I
Yeah.
teach English, don't do that to me. Like
Yeah.
don't do that. So I had to understand like the many components there are to math, and I do enjoy some parts of math.
Right.
So
Right. So
healing. I'm healing.
yeah, you're really yes. Math PTSD. I get
Yes, all
that.
the way.
Yeah, so I mean, we try and make math applicable. We have there's a measurement kit, which is probably our least exciting kit. You know, what's a measurement kit? That doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun, but it gives kids a tape measure, digital caliper, a multimeter, which is it measures voltage and electricity, so you can see if things are conductive or not. I mean, kids get it in their hot little hands and they want and
That's
that
everything.
I feel like that's
Yes.
probably the favorite piece of that kit, because you don't see that one every day. Tape measure, you probably already have it at home, but it gives these kids tools. They get to keep it when they're done. So if a school gets these kids, they send the kids home with the kids so that they can keep that learning going at home. They can say, you know, yes, we can rearrange the living room furniture. I'm going to measure the couch and make sure it can fit here, or help dad hang a picture on the wall. You know, feel empowered to do those things, because what I hear from a lot of teachers is that, you know, usually measurement happens in around second grade, but by the time they get to middle school, they don't know how to measure. Well, what happened? Then they'll teach it again. And then I have high school teachers that are like, my high school kids can't measure. And we're asking ourselves, you know, what happened? And what happens is that they're not practicing that.
Now I said
So
you're not
giving
doing it
them the
often enough.
tools,
Yeah.
yeah, they're not practicing it. And because a lot of things just come with practice. You got to review it and you got to use it. Um, Kind of like foreign language, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. So they the measurement kit's been actually probably one of the most popular, because after you see the kids start doing it, you can see the impact it has in the rest of the family, because you know they'll show their brothers and sisters. Tape measures are fun to play with. In general, my kids are always running
My
around.
kid, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing when you were talking about tape measure. My girls love it, and I'm just like, don't hurt yourself, like, because they want to do everything but what you're
Right,
supposed
right.
to
But
do.
it's empowering, right? It's empowering for them,
Mhm.
and they can do more things with basic tools, and feel empowered to take risks. And sometimes, you know, maybe that turns itself into building a project with dad in the garage, or mom outside in the garden and doing different things. But that's yeah, measurement and math is really powerful. All of our kids tie math in some way, shape, or form. That's always the thing, because math is everywhere, right? Um, Same thing with science. There's so many different types of science. We do a lot of, uh, I want to say, kind of trades focused projects. So there's a lot of electrical projects, like circuitry game, which is they basically make a Have you ever played Operation? With the
Mhm.
little tweezers and you're pulling out
We
the
have
little
that
piece
at
of
home. Yes.
yes. Well, the kids literally make that out of a cardboard box. There's a buzzer and lights, um, and talks about circuitry and things like that. And they have to wire the buzzer. And, you know, I wouldn't have thought of to do that as a kid. I didn't even think about doing that as an adult until I got involved with STEM. I'm like, oh, all right, this is how that works. This is great. Um, and you know, no pun intended, but the light bulb moments are great. You know,
Indeed. Mhm.
repurpose some of the things that you know I have kits at home that I bring home, and I've gutted them after we've done a project, and then repurposed that and went to go help. When my son was in first grade, I had them all make little Halloween light up lights. And so it was very cool. They loved that hands-on learning, and that's at the first grade level. I was
Right.
like, you can do a lot with a little. You just got to be willing to try, right?
Yes, and get willing to let there be a mess, because science is messy. That's
Well,
my
life is
youngest favorite
messy.
subject. Yeah, life is definitely messy. Oh my gosh. But science is my youngest. She's 8, and Morgan loves science. That's her thing. Everything is an experiment. I want to experiment. She wants to create concoctions. Cooking is her thing. She wants to be a chef. So she loves all things experimenting. Like she loves putting things together. She loves getting science kits from the store. And like I
Yep.
said, that's why I say like you have to be willing to get messy because they get the slime kits and all the different things. And I'm like, okay, just go outside and do it. Go
Yeah.
outside and do it. Yeah. You can
So
do it. Go outside
the
and do it.
rule is in my
Yeah.
house is that
Outside.
if you do it, you have to clean it up. You can do
Yeah.
it. Okay. You can't permanently damage anything,
Mhm.
but if you do it, you got to clean it up when you're
I'm
done.
willing to chance outside. Like
Yeah,
go
and we
outside.
do a lot outside because I mean it's just easier that way.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, life is messy. I feel like you gotta allow kids to do that. I think that's
Indeed. Yes. I
important.
don't try to stun it, but it's just like like you said, the cleanup process. And then she's always like, well, we could always do it on top of the trash bag because that's our thing. Like if we do
Yeah,
it in
yeah,
the house, like do it on top of a trash bag. I'm like, yeah, no, still go outside. Like, that's what my thing now. We live in Arizona, like it's hot all the time. Go
right.
outside.
Yeah,
Like, go outside.
yep, yep. I was like, yeah, it's good for you to be outside, fresh air.
Yes. Yes, please. Please. It works for all of us. But science is fun. Science, I think that's a lot of kids' favorite activity. And up until it's not. Up until like, I don't know, it gets boring somewhere. And we're like, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
not so much.
I think that what stunts their passion for science is when you get to a point where there's just a lot of memorization and the
Of
focus is on
definitions.
yeah the terminology and things
Yes.
like that. When you're less hands on,
Yes.
it gets to be a challenge. There's a reason why we have to know some of those things, so it's not like it's useless. It's
Right.
important. It's just not as engaging. So you got to find ways to make it engaging, right?
Because life is science, essentially. Like just our health in general. Like the more you learn about your body, like
Yeah.
all of that is, science. And it's just like, oh shucks. Like I know we focus a lot on the body and how to heal the body properly and things of that nature. And that in turns has us talking about the plants and what
Yeah.
herbs can, helps us and things like that.
Right.
So science is life. I don't know how we get so disconnected from it in school though.
Yeah. I feel like, there's I've met some really extraordinary teachers that you can tell, like, that they remind me of, um, like Miss Rizzo from Magic School Bus, right? She was really passionate about science, and I was like Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'm like totally
Yeah,
dating
I love
myself.
him too. I love him.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you'll find individuals that it's not, if you are passionate, that passion will transfer to your students. And I think that some teachers they lose that spark and that fire. And maybe, there's various reasons why that could happen, but you can tell that when you have teachers that they're dedicated to just growing kids and explaining science, demonstrating that for them, that kids just do better, and parents too, right? Like,
Yes.
if I'm not excited to do the math homework, my kids aren't going to be excited to do the math homework.
That's what Kathleen taught me. Like, you can't be going around talking about how much you don't like math and expect your
Ah!
kids to, like math. And I'm like, I know, Kathleen, I'm trying, okay? I'm
Right.
trying. I tell them, like, it's not like don't do as I. Like, I don't, but yeah, no.
You got to keep your
I feel
feelings
like
to yourself.
TV, I know, right? I feel like TV set us up though when it came to science because all the high schools in science on TV, everybody was dissecting something or like you just
Right.
experimenting all these, cylinders around and beakers and all this stuff. And then you get into high school and it's like, well, where's the science experiment? Like, what are we doing that part? Because
Right,
you're just
right, right.
talking, like you're doing a lot of
Well,
talking, and we're in this book, and I don't want to do this. Like TV said, we were going to do this.
yeah, look, mix it up, right? Do a little
Yeah.
book work, then do something that revolves around what that book work was,
Yes. Make
Um,
something blow up.
take some breaks. Switch it up. Switch it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have science, we have math, and you have technology. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I mean, I feel like technology is a double-edged sword, right? Because they talk about, you don't want to give your kids too much screen time, talking about the impacts of that. Um, and like as a parent, I guess that's always like top of mind too. And I don't want to think that, you know, technology is bad because ultimately it's there to help, right? It's a tool. It's just a tool. Understanding how some of that technology works is important. I always think that I don't know. I When I think of technology, I think of like an inventor making, new things. And what does that look like today? Um, there's
Elon Musk.
Yeah, I mean, technology can be it's like Pandora's box, right? You just have
Indeed.
there's so much that goes into that. Simple technology is, important too, but kids got to be able to use this stuff. They're going to build the technology of the future. So if we don't give
Indeed.
them some technology in order to do that, and we're not really doing them a service by, preparing them and giving them that stepping stone to launch them into their future.
Yes. And
Um,
I talk about that too, because look, as I sit here and charge tablets beside me,
yeah.
we like, it is something to I don't adjust to because it's like you don't want it to be a crutch, I suppose. I did an interview with Giselle. She's the founder of Being Human with AI. It's a
Okay.
free course. Yeah, it's a free course online, and I think it's really dope. We haven't completed it yet. I've signed up, and I have look. I have it open on my window. It's one of my
Great.
tabs. But we were just talking about that as far as just learning, like you said, learning to use it as a tool as opposed to letting it control you or letting it
Right.
lead you, basically. Because
Yeah.
like you don't want it to be a necessary like a crutch. That's what I said earlier,
Yep.
like a crutch, because you want them to be able to stand on their own and be able to think for themselves as opposed
Right.
to everything going to AI, like the chat GPT and everything
Yeah. Yeah.
where we're
Yeah.
at with all that good stuff and everyone writing their papers the same and everything because they're using the same chat GPT service. And it's like, wait a minute, I read this 10 times already. I can just imagine how school is right now as far as teaching English, because that was my subject. So it's
Right.
like I can just imagine cheat codes. Because I was probably would have, even though I love writing and reading, I probably would have used me some chat GPT if I was in school right now. Like,
Right.
no.
I feel like, AI is the big thing, right? And I feel like it makes everybody kind of nervous because it's like, where is AI going to take us? But if we don't do something with it now, and I mean, your kids are going to find out one way or another that it exists. So how are we going
Yeah,
to
no, I
navigate that
know. And
world?
like you said, you don't want them to not be set up for it. Like you don't want
Right,
them to be
right.
behind because then like what this service is that? Because then you're gonna be taking care of them all their life because they can't go out here and get no job. The guy, I've put all my lovely people that I talk to. I love talking to y'all. This is why y'all gotta understand this. Get the reference. I did an interview with Jude from Limitless Education. He talks about one of his friends working at Google and coding AI technology that eventually replaced him. Like he lost his
That's
job. Like
crazy.
the thing that he built was for him to not no longer be employed. And that's wild. Like just to think like, oh my gosh, this
Yeah.
is tricky.
You hear stories about that all the time, right? Like, and there's some nervousness about having AI take your job, and the key is that all right. Well, if they're gonna do it faster and better, let you go do something else. Um, we have to get in this mindset that learning can never stop, right? That you should be growing and changing, and some things. I mean, coding. How long are we going to need coding with AI?
Right,
that's a
right. Look, that's what I was thinking, Jess. I was like, I would build if I had to. If they told me to build something, I would build something that only I could. I would have to be the one that came to fix it. I would have to do all the upgrades. Like
it's
you're gonna
mine.
need me
Yep.
forever. Yes, you're gonna need
This
me
is
forever. Like
my AI baby. I and I heard a speaker talk about, a lot of the things of what we do will revolve around being able to grow and change and update our skills on a constant basis because AI is going to grow and change and it is going to take some of that stress out. And maybe we'll get to this point where we don't have to do all the work or the things that we don't want to do, and we can have the technology do the things that we don't want to do. So we can do more of connecting, building community, and finding other solutions. We're creative by nature, right? So let us go create something else and leave those maybe potentially super dangerous jobs or really menial tasks. Like you remember the Jetsons? I'm waiting for the robot that cleans my house. Like
they're working on it. They're working on
I
it,
was
Jess.
like,
They
yeah,
are working on
yeah.
it.
How is that not a priority? That's how I know there's not enough women in STEM because we would have that robot already. But
Great, yes, great
right,
observation. Yes, no, we need more. Yes.
right. We just got to remember to keep the human element in technology, and that the focus is how can this help you or how can this help others, and we're using it as a tool as it should be. We do integrate some basic AI experiences into each kit so that there is some activities there, but it's not let the AI write a whole English paper for you. You know what I mean? It's how can you leverage the AI to help you solve this problem, um, so that way they can get a taste of that in a small, digestible way, and it hopefully doesn't change their view of AI that I'm just going to have AI do everything for me. No, we want to instill some skills in these kids to make them competent and capable, right? So challenge them and keep them growing. Um, Use the tools that you have, find the tools that you need, or build the tools for the solution, so that they can be the solution. Technology is the tool.
Yeah, technology is a tool. And then we have engineering.
Engineering, engineering. I feel like everybody thinks like Legos.
I do, I do.
Connects.
Look,
Yeah,
that's
right. Like,
me.
and there's a lot that goes into that, right? There's a lot in just building things in general, but like
Mhm.
electrical engineering, that's a
Mhm.
thing. How does electricity work? How do circuits work? Um, why does that matter? I don't know. Our whole house, you're out traveling, but the buildings that you stay in, your home is still lit up. iPads that take electricity, understanding those components. Um, we do. I mean, even like HVAC is engineering in its own way, and we have a kit that's like centered around that, right? And that one's pretty interesting and talks about sustainable living and things that you need to build in order to have that happen, or the technology that's involved in that. Um, but engineering engineering is everything, right? Everything. It's engineering and building things. I think kids get a kick out of that. I think about babies. They want to build. They want to make. So having kids understand basic principles for engineering and understanding how they can leverage that for either their career or even at home, is really important, right?
STEM essentially goes across like the board as far as all the things that is related to in our everyday life.
Yeah. And I mean, so STEM, I feel like there's English in STEM too. You got to be able to communicate. Um, Writing for yourself and not letting AI do it is important. You can use AI for inspiration. Be like, maybe this is
Yes.
a run-on sentence and I cannot figure out how to change this, or this could be worded more concisely. Can you help me with that? So, but you got to be able to communicate. We're actually working on integrating um, a whole bunch of additional activities into our kits that'll help boost ACT scores. So that's getting them to understand how to read questions and comprehend them better, how to write written responses, how to take what you've learned and appropriately convey that so you can demonstrate that, yeah, I get this concept. And you know what? I'm going to talk about my ideas and build off of that. So that's been a process this year, and I do think it's really important because I'm an English lady. I like my reading and my writing, and I can talk a mile a minute. So I think that it is really important to just show holistically how all those subjects tie together, and why they matter, right?
Yes, and make them fun. So essentially, y'all make kits for every, like, all aspects of STEM
Yeah,
for
I mean,
hands-on application.
yeah, so we're constantly doing. We have actually a bunch more kits that are about to launch before August. But we have many right now that are all different types of things. And some of these projects are really interesting. So we have like a speaker project, and they wire a speaker, talks about electromagnetism, but they construct an actual speaker out of construction paper, cardboard housing. There's wiring, there's a coil, there's an amp. So they can literally plug this cardboard speaker into their laptop or their power source and play music. And they're like, what? This works. Like, and it's, I love that kit's one of my favorites just because you you don't realize how simple certain things are and understand how they work, and then when you can build something and it actually functions, this is
Right.
incredibly rewarding. Um, and so that kit's a lot of fun. I see that. I went and um, helped fifth graders in Waupun go complete it. I know a teacher over there, and I donated some speaker kits, and I said, if you're ready to rock this, let's do it. I'll come and help you and help the kids. And honestly, I loved that. I really loved that whole experience because kids are using hot glue guns, and they've got to be, intentional about where they're putting the glue and how they're assembling this thing. And um, it's that's important. I feel like kids aren't as I don't know, dexterous, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but that sometimes they're not as capable of doing stuff with their hands because they're doing less and less with their hands and more
Mhm.
with the screen. So
Yeah.
I I think those kits are really powerful because the kids just things click better.
Yeah.
And you can see like the emotional change in them, um, especially if you have kids that struggle with behavioral issues, or they are ones that are just they have such a hard time sitting still, or focusing in a traditional setting. And doing these hands-on projects is hugely impactful because sometimes you just gotta move in order to absorb. But they're also challenged in a new way. Some kids just need that challenge and the I can do this. I did this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's
There's a feeling. Like I said, my Morgan, she would love all those kids. Like she that's her thing. Like when we just had the expo in New Jersey, in the middle of the expo, she
yeah,
got a cardboard box and she went inside and said she was making her some wings because she was gonna fly. And so she just went over there and started cutting stuff and everything. And I'm
yeah,
just like, okay, girl, do you? But it was just like I always call her my little engineer because she's always just, what can I build? What can I
yeah,
build? What can I create? What can I experiment with? And that's what they. So I love it. I love that you all are creating and making it fun. Like that's the essential part because it is a part of our everyday. Like regardless of how we look past it, science, technology, engineering, math. It's a part of our everyday in some aspect, some way. Look,
yeah.
we're starting our day on a computer right now, so boom.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I was like, that's
right? Yes.
That's why it matters.
It's an everyday thing. So STEM 101, and you all are a nonprofit, so that
Yep.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
STEM101.org website.
Yeah. STEM101.org. Yep. So
Okay.
that's our
And
website.
so families can reach out and they pick these kits themselves, or how does that?
Yep, yep. So all our kits are always listed online, so they can order them at any time. We the connections program is on there too. So if you've got honestly, I tell parents look at the connections program in middle school because you got to start looking at those things right now so that you can set yourself up for success in the future. And but you don't want to be in high school and feel completely lost. Although if you do, that's okay because you're not the only one. But you
Right.
should start talking about careers.
You won't be
um,
alone.
right, and developing those interests and nurturing those interests because if you're passionate, you're gonna do incredible things, right? So figuring out what that looks like for your child is huge, hugely impactful. Their learning is going to be 10 times better, especially if you're homeschooling, because you're modeling your education to tailor to their needs. Great. That's even better. So let's figure out what they like and what they're interested in, and let's get them doing things that are going to help, push them to where they need to go. And same thing with high school students. They should feel prepared for their future, not terrified. What am
And
I going
that's what
to
I
do?
saw, Jess. That's what made me like say, okay, we gotta do something different. Because I taught 12th grade my last couple years in
Yeah.
high school, and they were just so not excited. And I was like, why are y'all not excited about like this is it? Like y'all been wanting to get out of here, and it's
Yeah.
just because they had no direction. They didn't know really what to do. And then everyone talks on the level of college or work, like college, like the principal used to
Right.
say it over the announcers, we're preparing you for the world of work or college. Like she would let them know, like you're going to do one or the other. And you could see the fear in them, even at the ceremony. Like they're just like, it's like, are you
Yeah.
excited? Like this is it. Like you made it. Like this is what 13 years was about. You made it to the end of the road. Let's say. But they were not there, and that's why I was like, okay, we gotta do something different.
I saw a lot of that too, working with high school kids. I feel like we need things to look more like real life, but we need to give them the appropriate skills to approach it. So grit is important. They need to be pushed and challenged to do hard things so that they can feel capable and confident to go and do hard things and not shy away from that or take the easy road because they don't feel like they can push. I think it's really I mean, hands-on in STEM is there's a lot of that. There's a lot of challenges because if you don't do it right, you gotta go figure it out. It's not working. Why? Sometimes you gotta try a few times until you get it to work, and that's okay. That's part of the process. But that's like life. So showing them different examples and putting them through those experiences is really empowering. It's not just about the education piece. This is the skill is grit and resiliency, to push yourself, to learn, to grow, but you can't stop trying. I'm
Yes,
gonna
no,
grab
you're
some.
absolutely right. Confidence goes a long, long way because I feel like that's an important foundation to
Yeah,
even be on in general. Like that confidence, like because even if you fail at something, you're confident enough to know, all right, this is not it. Like I can keep going and I'm gonna work this out, or there is a solution for this. Because when you rest in the space of insecurity is not fun there, and then you just question everything.
well, it can be paralyzing.
Yes.
Once you get to a certain point, then it's like, okay, where do I go from here? I don't even know where to start. So, talking about the future before the future happens is a good
Right.
thing, right? And the goal is to prepare your kid. So we got to teach them to be tough because life is hard. Um, and that doesn't have to be, I'm not thinking like drill sergeant. I'm just saying that it's okay to get frustrated and have to work really hard on something to get it to work. Not that the kids are necessarily like that, but I challenge my kids to do that stuff all the time because I want them to stick it out. And I want them to feel confident. And the only way you're going to build confidence is to experience it. I was
Is to
like, I
do
did
it.
it. I can
Yes,
do this.
yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
it's incredibly rewarding. Incredibly
Indeed.
rewarding.
My nephew just graduated yesterday. And I'm grateful that my sister took the initiative because we've talked about it. We've been talking to him for the last couple of years. Like, we want to do Tyshawn. What is it that you're into and all this stuff? And he's bought sewing machines, he's bought guitars, he's bought like he's done all this stuff, but he, hasn't found like what is. And I told him, I feel like you're creative. Like I feel like, your
Yeah.
mind is just on a creative perspective, like you want to create things, but you're not ready or don't know where that will take you. But my
Right.
sister took the initiative to take him to a welding HVAC school and he signed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he starts out in like 2 weeks and the program is only 7 months long. So in 7 months, he'll be certified HVAC and welding. And I'm just like, that is so dope because even if he does not want to do this or does not utilize this, and
He has a
he didn't
skill.
give it, yeah, he has a
He has
skill.
a skill.
He has something to fall back on from
Yes.
whatever it is he does venture off to. And I just love that for him because it's like, oh, we're not saying this has to be your life, but we just want you to have some kind of capability or something to lean on when it comes time to lean.
Right.
So I just love that for him.
Yeah, I think that the trades are incredibly important. One,
Yes.
we're gonna need all of that for a really long time.
Yes.
That's something that AI is not gonna replace immediately. You're gonna be good there. The population that is currently in trades is aging out. That's coming.
Right.
So there's a
Yes.
need for that. But having those skills, I mean, even if you didn't do a job with that, you could still do stuff at home with that skill, right?
Yes.
Maybe that skill turns into a fun welding hobby and he makes art and sells it at a farmer's market. Who knows?
Indeed. I know
Right?
exactly.
Like,
But either way, it's 7 months. Like it's just 7 months.
right.
7 months is gonna happen regardless of what you're
Yes.
doing. So boom. In
Yeah.
7 months you'll have a certification. Like
Yeah. It's so, I love those programs because they are less sitting in a lecture hall learning all this stuff. There's some of that. There's got to be some
yes.
class time and direction, but there's a lot of hands on that goes into that. And maybe those programs are shorter because they're doing the hands on stuff.
Yes.
I think about that, from when I went to college to when I was, in a restaurant, it was totally different. I feel like I grasped way more business skills on the job every day than I did sitting in a lecture hall. And I think that, trades, especially if you're somebody that really has struggles with the classroom setting, that might be a great thing for you because there's a lot of jobs. They're great paying. They're impactful. People need these things. You're making a difference in the world. A plumber makes a difference in the world.
Yes.
Because it's critical. It's mission critical, you know?
Yes, all of it. Yes, all of
um,
it. So I love it. I love it. I love that that's the direction that, a lot of the young people are going in is the trades in general.
yeah.
They're not just being like, oh, college, college, college. Like, oh, you have to go to
Yeah.
college. Even though you struggled through high school, go ahead on like
Yeah.
go
It
ahead.
doesn't get any easier.
No, and then it gets more self-directed and independent once you get to the college level. So it's like, I trust that you're gonna do what you're supposed to do, even though I have to hold your hand all the way through this process. It's like it's a lot.
I couldn't agree more with that. And I feel like that's where kids get lost, right? Because we've had to hold their hand and walk them through in the traditional setting to get them to where they need to go instead of letting them take the lead on following interests and passions and doing things with that. Um, they'll be a lot more determined to finish what they start if they're interested.
Yes,
you know?
exactly. Indeed, it's so much. It's so. I feel like it's so different when you actually enjoy what you're doing as opposed to being told what to do. Like like
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
I have two more things before I let you go, Jess. One, with you got two little people that you're raising up, and then you have this lovely STEM 101 that you are giving your all to. How do you take care of you? What does your self-care look like?
Oh, self-care. I feel like I'm not super great at self-care, right? I feel like as a mother, it's just hard sometimes. Things that I do to take care of myself, though, I I have to have some coffee. That's like a thing. Like it's like part of the morning ritual. I gotta have the coffee. It kind of. I don't even drink all the coffee. I don't know if the listeners out here set their coffee down and then walk away and then forget it exists, and all of a sudden you either have cold coffee cups everywhere, or yours keeps getting put into the microwave. Um, I love coffee just because it's warm. Um, and it's mine. I don't have to share that with my kids because they're not allowed to
Right,
drink it yet, you know.
right.
It's something that I can own, and it seems like such a small thing, but it is a big thing to me, you know, like the moment of peace in the morning where I can sit there and think about, okay, what is today gonna look like? What are we gonna what do I need to prepare for? What do I not have to prepare for today? Um, the other aspect of self-care is just spending some time outside without having to do anything. And I sometimes I'm like I said, I'm a doer, right? So I can't help but move and start doing stuff. But I have to be able to just sit and be present, let my kids play, try not to interfere a whole lot, and just witness the moment and soak up the sun. I think that's really important. So that I can model that for my kids that you don't your worth isn't just by what you do. Okay. You can just be, and that's okay too.
Thank you. Big message. I love that. Thank you. Yes, and if parents didn't hear anything else, if they didn't hear anything else in this conversation, what's three things you want to make sure they leave with?
Um, the Connections program is academic career planning resource that's completely free, and your kids are going to find it interesting. It's real careers and real people. So that's I feel like that's my big thing for them is that if you don't need any hands-on kits, that's fine. I'm okay with that. If you do, great. We've got some really cool things. But that connections program and preparing your kids and letting them explore their interests and future careers and letting them know that at an early age is going to be helpful for them and for you as you try and provide their learning journey and cater it to them.
Two more.
Uh,
Two more.
yeah,
That
I
was just
think
one.
that's it. I was like, that's the big one. Like we have a lot of cool kids in curriculum. Connections program is tied to that, but Connections program is absolutely free and hugely impactful.
Okay, they still need two more things, Jess.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be STEM related. It could be anything.
Ooh. Grit is important. Your willingness to try, to struggle, to be challenged, and to grow is important. Do not give up. Um, the key is to keep pushing. So that's what I got.
One more, Jess.
One more. Oh my gosh, it's hard. I would say that, if you keep your child's interests and passions at the forefront of their learning, no matter their setting, you're going to help set them up for success. You really can't do any wrong there. If you put your kid first, what's good for the kid is going to help. And that can look like a million different things from making sure your family life is a place of comfort and support, making sure that they have access to being able to learn and to grow and to take risks, to make sure that you're accessible to them and willing to learn with them if they're interested, share that interest and that passion, support it, nurture the fire, stoke the fire, and don't put it out.
And don't put it out. See, that's all good. Yes. Thank
I
you
was
so
like,
much.
am I good?
Yes, look, now you're free now. You're free now.
Well,
But yes. Yes, parents, just understand that there's so many resources out here available. This is not a journey you have to do alone, but you are the leader of your children's education. So find what works for you. And that's to check out the Connecting program because that sounds cool. And it's free. I love free, 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 free. Yes. But always and forever, homeschool your kids.